Coraline is headed back to the other world to have her second interaction with the other mother, and that girl is ignoring every warning her neighbors just gave her. Hey again, guys. Welcome back to the Fangirl, where we are breaking down Coraline scene by scene. I'm your hostess, McGann, and during my break for the holidays, I got engaged. So that was unexpected. Anyways, before we get into today's scene, let me throw some quick love to the comments section. Anonymous VT9TE tells us that they live in Portland, Oregon, and that no, Oregon weather doesn't magically turn foggy within a few minutes of time. I don't really have a clever retort for that. I'm just happy to see a few people in Oregon comment that fog appearing that quickly in Coraline is an atypical event. Then Adam Martinez, 8061, looked up the literary meaning of fog and saw that it can mean hidden truths, confusion, and/or danger, which was essentially what I was already thinking, because even though film can use different symbolism than books, the idea of using fog in film would be to hide something or to convey an unclear mental state. Now, I don't remember the book specifically mentioning fog, but I am very glad that the meanings double up so that none of the booktivists can flip out. Okay, now let's jump into today's scene. Last time we dealt with YB's second encounter with Coraline, where YB exposited a weird story about his great aunt going missing and then he ran away. And while Coraline stares at YB inquisitively, we have a dissolving transition into the Coraline button-eyed doll. I find that very interesting because the transitional point is that we go from Coraline's human eyes to the doll's face. That's the matching point on the screen. And even though we saw that the doll was watching Coraline from the window in the last scene, there's something eerie about the transition here, as if Coraline is becoming the doll or getting trapped within the doll, like her eyes are going to become the button eyes. Also, while time has certainly passed, so it's definitely possible that Coraline moved the doll herself, because, now it's in the chair next to her bed instead of the window. I do think it's important to note that neither the chair nor the window was where Coraline left the doll when she left her room that morning. So we're getting more and more hints that the doll might be moving on its own. And as we pan back, we can see the turtle shell that isn't as fun as the turtle in the other world. And Coraline has her door cracked open while she's breaking apart bits of cheese to lure the other mice over. As a mother, let me also point out that Coraline deliberately places that cheese inside of her room and not in the hallway so that she isn't bonked half to death by her mom for dropping clumps of food on the floor. Do you want ants? This is how you get ants. So Coraline is no dummy, even though luring any type of mouse into the house is a bad move. This girl knows what would upset her parents, and she's being dodgy about it. Because Coraline's goals here are very self-involved. It's not like, oh mom, look, I'm gonna leave this cheese out right in front of my door, and then you're gonna see these mice too, and I'm gonna prove to you that the small door becomes a portal, and you're gonna have to believe me and deal with this after that. No, she does not want her parents involved. This is not, I'm gonna prove I'm right. This is not a safety thing. This is Coraline being flat out reckless. But Coraline puts the cheese on the ground, she hops into bed, and she's looking extremely proud of herself. And then she seems to pass out immediately. Now, this is strange and I'm not sure that it means anything, but we see the twirly nightlight thing speed up for a few seconds after Coraline falls asleep, which seems to be implying that time is sped up here, even though Coraline's breathing is still shown at a normal rate. So I'm not positive what to think. However, before I can figure out for sure if the nightlight is giving us a passage of time, we get an audible squeak and Coraline pops up, knocking the light out of view, so I can't tell if it fully slows down again. But sure enough, we have tiny button-eyed mice scooping up the cheese and scurrying off. which Coraline is more than happy to pursue because danger isn't a real concept for her. And here, again, we have these swirling clouds in the windows. And that sort of matches the motion of her starry nightlight projector, which could theoretically suggest that all of this right now is a dream. And Coraline chasing the mice gives us some awesome animation moments. Coraline loses her balance and slides from trying to run so fast. And this happens both in the hallway and as she tries to catch the mice at the small door. Keep in mind, these kinds of tiny motions look incredible, but they add nothing to the story. It's all visual texture. So all this is a moment of pure artistry to convey Coraline's enthusiasm. Leica Studios feels like it's truly one of the only animation studios where they let artists work for the sake of art. Oh, you want to do this extra motion that might take us half a day and cost a bunch of money in the budget? Sure, go ahead. Thank you, Leica, for letting this happen. Anyways, as the three mice get through the little door, Coraline pulls it open, we see the long tunnel stretch out, and it seems to be taking the door to the other world further away too. So going through the tunnel is taking Coraline further away from home. And she's so excited to go in that door again, she doesn't even think twice about it. As she crawls in though, I did adjust the lighting and notice that Coraline has to be in the regular world right now, because look, the larger heating unit is under the window there. And once she comes out of the door on the other side, we have the smaller radiator under the window again. Although these are shot in the exact same angle, so I'm wondering if this sequence of Coraline going through the door and coming out the other side is recycled animation to save a few dollars in the budget. Does this mean that Coraline actually does go home after her first night in the other world? It's not impossible, but we never really get any clear measure that the Beldam can use her magic in the real world as well. After all, if she can teleport Coraline home, why didn't she just teleport Coraline there in her bed and not use the tunnel at all? We also know that the other mother is going to be a spider-like creature by the end of the movie, and it seems a little risky for a spider to release its fly and then hope that the fly comes back and gets caught in the web again. So, for my own headcanon, I instinctively want to say that animation was reused in this scene to explain away the radiator sizes and not have to do a bunch of mental gymnastics here. But I would love to hear what you think in the comments, because Leica says that the smallest detail tells the biggest story and that everything in Coraline was intentional. So I don't know what to think. Oh, and I'm not sure if I noticed this last time or if I did I bring it up? I don't know. But in the real world, there is a dresser on the right side of the room when Coraline leaves. But in the other world, it's a door frame, and I'm not confident that we'll ever find out where that door goes. And if you notice, Coraline seems to be observing the other world a little more closely when she enters this time. She's a lot more studious of her surroundings, and we see her eyes wandering around more thoughtfully. As far as I can tell though, everything seems to be identical to her first visit to the other world. And Coraline hears the other mother singing in the kitchen, and it's the same melody from the opening song where the doll was being made, because wowzers, this movie really wants you to pay attention and connect the dots. Not to mention, it wants to make you feel very unnerved all the time. But the noise of the singing draws Coraline to the kitchen where the other mother is cooking eggs and sausage, and she's thanking Coraline for sending the cheddar cheese to her, which that does confirm for us that the mice are used as scavengers to get whatever the Beldam needs, children included. And while Coraline is processing like, what do you mean I sent over cheddar? Oh, you mean the mice bait. So again, we see that Coraline has gotten more comfortable around the other mother. She doesn't see her as a threat. She's not in survival mode. So Coraline is getting to be more observant of everything. But then the other mother actively disrupts Coraline's thoughts before any questions can be asked. And Coraline is instructed to go fetch her father because he must be hungry as a pumpkin. Now, I've always assumed that this phrase is just a small way to foreshadow the other father's fate towards the end of the movie. But I would like to ask the audience here, is hungry as a pumpkin a phrase you've ever heard used anywhere? But because Coraline feels safer around the other mother, and she's had these vague warnings from the neighborhood, and Coraline in general is more alert right now, she does try to gently correct the other mother and says, "Oh, you mean you want me to get the other father?" And the other mother kind of divas out. She gets a nice tone and a big smile, and she claps back and tells Coraline, "That's your better father out there." So here we have an attempt to gaslight Coraline and implant this idea into her head that her real father is lesser, and a step towards replacing the real parents is getting started here. This is something that a manipulative, toxic personality does, and this kind of a thing has to be done gradually, because if you meet someone who has no trust and no emotional attachment to you, and you just say, "Hi, I just met you and this is crazy, but I'm a better parent than the ones you have, so let me sew these buttons into your eyes and you can live with me," that wouldn't go over so well. Coraline has to get addicted to the positive attention and get all the wonders of the other world, and then face the risk of losing these fantastical things and having it slowly ripped away. And that would make her brain much more likely to be like, hold on, maybe I do want these button eyes because I want to keep all these other nice things. Also, when the other mother says that the father, no longer the other father, is in the garden, Coraline gets this salty tone and says that her parents don't have time to garden, to which the beldam literally shushes her, shoves a strawberry in her mouth, and then nudges Coraline out the door to be compliant as her brain is being reset by the sweet taste of a berry. See, humans have this odd thing where we struggle to feel two things at once. That's why somebody can bump into your shoulder and rip your wallet out of your pocket and you never feel the wallet go. Our brains are slow and pretty easy to reroute. So when Coraline is getting this suspicious tone, cramming good food in her mouth not only shuts her up, but now her senses are working on the berry instead of paying attention to the red flags. And the positive taste of the strawberry relates to more positive feelings of the other mother. She makes Coraline feel good and happy, which makes Coraline easier to exploit. And if you notice, for the rest of the movie, Coraline is never given any time to linger in one space and contemplate anything. Her senses are always being overwhelmed, and she's being shooed from one event to another until she's exhausted, which means Coraline is going to notice less and less potential flaws in the world around her because she's always having her senses overwhelmed with something new. And that's where we're stopping this time. Thank you guys for watching. Next time we're visiting the other garden, and I will take this last chance here to beg you to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video, all of which are free for you to do and really helps me out. And hey, if you are willing to be a channel member, you'd be even more appreciated. Gotta say, Buster Animations has been a member with me since day one, and I love this person to death. I cannot thank them enough. I might be overthinking it, but that's literally my job. And to any of my members here on YouTube, a huge bottom of my heart thank you for all of your help and support. If you would like to become a paid channel member, there is a link in the description below. Thanks again, guys. Love you. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey, McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. that people who watch to the end of videos like you helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.